can you please tell us about your shoes? Were you able to buy them or did you make those too? So, somehow I kind of forgot about our shoes. No, we did not make those ourselves, but there were very strict rules around what type of shoes we were allowed to have. So, definitely not regular tennis shoes. They were only allowed black shoes, and they had some kind of like rubber sole on the bottom. And the men had different shoes for their church shoes that were kind of a little bit fancy. They wore a lot of boots. So the men primarily wore boots for farming outside. And then eventually, as I got into my teenage years, us girls, because we worked outside on a farm a lot too, like I helped plow fields and work in the fields and all of that stuff. So started using boots for some of that. But they were all like those rubber boots. There was an Amish family in the community that had what was called a shoe store. And so they would buy all these shoes on wholesale. And then there was another place called, I think it was like called Weaver Leather or something like that. Not the Weaver Leather, like leather place, because some of you guys on here probably know what I'm talking about when I say Weaver Leather. But there was a shoe store, but I don't know where they got their shoes from. I have no idea. We had the regular shoes, and then we had to have the rubber shoes for outside. So those rubber shoes were to go over the regular shoes. So when we went outside in the water, in the snow, in the mud, in the dirt, whatever it is that we were doing, that was to protect our regular shoe because those were waterproof. And then we had to have long knee-high stockings. Those ones we bought as well. And again, we bought those either at an Amish-owned fabric store or at the shoe store. It just really, really depended who had them. I'm not aware that my mom ever ordered them online. And then in the summer, so typically like the shoes had to come up above the ankles. So just high enough where it was like above the ankles. But in the summer, they had the adult women got to wear shoes that were kind of like almost like a slipper, but not really. So they were much, much lower because it was hot and too hot to wear the other shoes. So we were allowed to wear those in the summer, but there were seasons that you were allowed to wear them. So there was a starting point and an ending point. So they even had rules around that. And then for the women, for church, in the winter, they had what was called high heel shoes. And the way that these worked is they actually had a heel. Like maybe 2.5 inches, maybe. So they had a heel, and that heel was really hard. It was like, like a chunky heel. And then the shoe, it was kind of like a boot. They put it on. It's almost like Victorian, now that I think about it. I wish I could find what they would look like, but they would come almost all the way up to the knees, and there was shoelaces that you had to lace through all the way up. But you were not allowed to start wearing those until you were dating as a woman. Only the women wore these. And I still remember I was dying to be able to wear these. I don't know why. I just thought they were so cool, and it had a heel, and it made that like heel sound when you walked. And I just was obsessed with it. The first time that I put these shoes on, I was like, I was made for these. I could have walked in them all day long, never had an issue or anything like that. So they had shoes with heels. Imagine that. But only for church Sunday or visiting Sunday. No other time were you allowed to wear them. So those were things that we bought. We bought socks or stockings, shoes, outer shoes, the boots for the men, some for the women. And that's pretty much it.